Welcome back everyone to another episode in our Devlog series. This week has been mildly eventful with some major updates to level design and some awesome new models. Though not everything went according to plan, such as the AI taking a while to set up and some other interesting problems. But before we hop in, I just want to quickly thank all our Patreon supporters. Thank you to our new Patreon Tajna for your support, and thank you to Windshire, Max, Delta, Deathstroke, and Inconspicuous for their continued support. We also recently reduced some prices of our tiers and added in some awesome new rewards. Go check them out in the description below. Anyways, let's get back into the meat of this video. This week has been pretty slow with the development of the AI due to a significant problem I ran into while developing it. But before we get into that issue, I did manage to fix a major bug plaguing our enemies. There was an odd problem where if the player decided to run away from the enemy while the AI was attacking, the AI timer would still have to wait the 2 to 3 seconds before it being able to go out and chase the target. This was due to the wait action that we put after the enemy was finished with its combos. It took about an hour to fix and get working right, but with the help of Captain Conrad, we managed to get it working well. We did this by checking the distance from the player after the combo sequence was finished and at the same time running the wait action if it was within distance. It was a pretty simple solution, but since the parallel composite function doesn't back out the way we expected it to, we ran into this problem. Since both returned with a value of true, we had to figure out a way to force a failure on one of the parallel. After some tweaking, we just inverted the wait function so it would return with a failed status, and it just worked how we wanted it to. I'm not sure if we were doing this right or if there's a better way, but if there is, let me know in the comments down below. After fixing this, the AI felt really smooth and felt really fun to play against, though we had another issue. The hit animation would sometimes not play at each hit. We're guessing it has something to do with the way it transitions to idle and such, but we're still debugging that system currently. Now with the real issue we had this week. Midway through, I really got tired of seeing the enemy have no weapon to swing at the player, so I decided it was time to add in a weapon for the orc. This was a whole bag of worms that I didn't expect to open. I never had issues implementing weapons, but again, I never tried to do two-handed weapons. My first attempt was to handle it the same way I do other weapons, which is pretty simple, just correctly rotate the weapon in the orc's hand so it would just follow the hand movement. But with our orc model and its stubby and shorter arms, it caused some issues, so I went back to Mixamo and got the same animations but shortened the arm spacing, but that made the animations not work correctly. After this, I tried having the sword as a child of a weapon holder object to try and not worry about the pivot of the sword and such, but again the issue occurred. The idle worked fine, but either the run or the attack's animations looked very odd, and vice versa. If we fixed it for the attack, the idle or the run would work really odd. With just a simple way of doing the parenting didn't work, I remember watching a video on Unity's animator rigger. I thought I could just force the orc's hand to hold onto the weapon and overlay the animations on top of that. Though I did get the orc to hold the weapon correctly, the sword wouldn't follow the rotation of the hand due to it not being parented to it. So after making it the child of the hand, this caused another huge issue. Since the override rig was controlling the hand to rotate and be in the right position, when parenting the weapon to the hand, it caused the rig to go crazy. It twisted the hand in the opposite direction and you couldn't rotate the hand without rotating the weapon with it. So after about 2 hours of tinkering with it, I decided to call it quits. I went back to find a good animation set that we could use that was a one-handed weapon. This wasn't too hard and we found one that fit the orcs way better than the two-handed animations ever did. This set really gave the orc the feeling of the strength and brutalness that we really wanted the orcs to portray. This is where I stopped for the week. It took me quite some time to finally give up on the two-handed idea, but at the end this was a way better choice. This week has been a bit different than other weeks for modeling. Instead of working on singular props and buildings, Postcritical needed some modular buildings he could use in the cities and towns to make them feel less copied and pasted. So that's what Perforator worked on this week. He made multiple variations of walls, windows, foundation, doors, roofs, and some other small details here and there. All of them are in modular form and allow us to use them in engine to make interesting designs. While Perforator worked on making modular buildings, Excelsius created some awesome props. He made a small little overhang shrine type of thing with a flag for the orcs that we can place once we have a logo for them, and a really cool looking statue of an orc with sword up. So give them a big thank you for working very hard this week on getting some amazing things done. On the audio side of this week, TheLonesomeBard has created an awesome soundtrack for the boss battle. Though it's still a work in progress, it's really starting to sound exactly how we want it to. Here's a small demo now. So that's just a sneak peek of the new boss battle music for Windshire. If you guys enjoyed it, drop a like, and down in the comments go thank TheLonesomeBard for creating such an amazing sounding soundtrack. This is where most of the progress this week has been. Our world builder Post Critical has been working really hard on making the map as great as it can. Starting this week, we decided it would be best not to make the map on an island, but on an archipelago. If you guys don't know what this is, it's a bunch of islands near each other, such as Hawaii or Japan. The other big issue that we all discussed was the size of the map for Phase 2. The original size was going to be huge and over 2 times bigger than the original map, but after some discussion, it's going to be a bit bigger than Phase 1's map, but it's going to be way more heavily detailed, and each part will have a purpose. As the week continued, Post Critical continued on landscaping, creating 2 beautiful mountain ranges and a beautiful mountain pass. After finishing up the base terrain for the map, he started decorating the map with forests and details. After getting the rough placement of the map done, he started roughing out an idea of how he wanted the biggest camp to be in Phase 2. And finally, the last thing he did this week was roughing out the layout for the second biggest city in the phase. So give him a big thank you for working extra hard to get this map to where it is now. The lore in Windshire is something we haven't talked about much in devlogs because we wanted to nail down a decent story before sharing it, but for the last couple of weeks, Post Critical has written some awesome lore for the project. He had to change it up a little bit since we switched from an island to an archipelago, but almost all of it stayed the same. But finally, we are able to share a little bit of it. It's going to be summarized, and it's not the entire thing because we have a very large document describing everything about it, but here it goes. A large empire is in progress of expanding its reach. This empire is not afraid of striking war on territories it desires and that it believes will benefit its own population. Windshire takes place as this empire is currently at war and resources are low. Without trying to ensue panic in the populations, its reason for the shortage is that the reconstruction of a merchant fleet is taking place. This soothes the population and doesn't cause any alarm. There is a branch of this empire called the Imperial Exploration Company, which handles the exploration and management of the exploration parties. This is when the Windshire archipelago was discovered. It was quickly colonized by the IEC. At the time of colonization, they didn't believe anybody else lived on this island, but they were actually very wrong. The native orc population on the island lived there for many centuries before them, and they still live there without the citizens knowing that they're there. Anyways, this was just a short description of the lore, which was condensed, and a lot of it was not shared so we don't overshare the lore. We have a very large document, like I said before, with all the lore written, but we just want the players to discover and find it out for themselves. So we won't really be going too in depth about it, just overall overviews. This is also a new section for the devlogs. After we released the poll in the Discord, we saw people were interested in this type of section. Currently, we are working on the AI and quest for the actual mechanics, but we want to take some time and get these mechanics right because they're the 2 biggest mechanics in any RPG. AI should only take a couple of more weeks to get perfect, but the questing should be done by the end of this month. After working on the AI, the final system we want to start implementing in Phase 2 is some systemic systems. We don't want to make anything too big in Phase 2, but some interesting ones would be arrow effects when firing through objects, getting orcs to react with their surroundings, and hopefully have small events around the world. We want this game to feel alive and not just when the player is around an object. In addition, we want to implement whys into our project instead of using our own custom solution for audio like in Phase 1. Though it worked, there were some features that did not work how we intended them to, so we want to get a more professional system in place for audio. Before we end off this video, we also had a new member join the team. Her name is Christine and she will be the marketing lead and advisor for our team. So give her a big welcome in the comments down below. Anyways guys, thank you guys for watching our videos and thank you to our supporters for reaching our goal to have this awesome looking end screen for the videos. Our next goal is to get an awesome looking website for our project, so if you guys are interested in helping us out and get one, go check out our new rewards on the Patreon page. Anyways guys, we'll see you guys in the next week.